Welcome back to another video on the Rugby channel. Please make sure you go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, click the notification button, as well as please go ahead and follow us on our social media platforms to be up to date with the channel. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Rugby video on the Rugby channel, and today we have an interesting topic: Rugby Challenge 4 versus Rugby 20. So this is going to be a video for you guys who can't decide which game to get, and basically analysing what's going to be happening in which game, what game is going to have different features, and comparing the two together. Now, obviously, these two games are completely different compared to each other. We will be discussing that in today's video, so it's down completely up to you what game you're going to be deciding to get. Don't leave it to me and blame me if the game is disappointing. I'm just discussing what is going to be happening in each game. So yeah, it should be quite interesting. I've got a few points I want to point out to you, and I'm going to explain what different features the games have. So yeah, let's get right into it. Okay, so first up we're going to talk about Rugby Challenge 4. Now, these aren't actually clips from Rugby Challenge 4, these are from Rugby Challenge 3. But usually with the Rugby Challenge games, they use the same sort of graphics engine. So the games, I know a lot of you guys have said, look very, very similar, and there's not really too much difference in sort of graphic-wise compared to the two games. So what you're looking at here will probably be what Rugby Challenge 4 looks like, or not far off it. We do know the gameplay with Rugby Challenge 4, the thing I've always found the annoying thing is, yes, okay, it is a very good game. The detail looks very good, but I do feel when it comes to the running animations, I feel like it's a bit rugged, if that makes sense. The controls are pretty good to it, but I've always felt it feels like I'm playing a sort of, I don't know, outdated, well, not outdated, but it's kind of like a slower version of a rugby game, I feel like it is a lot of the time. So for example, if you wanted to pass wide, you could, and then obviously running and stuff is fine, but I feel like when you're doing kicks and stuff, I feel it's a lot slower compared to like other sports games, like you have like, say, basketball, like NBA, and then you have FIFA and stuff like that. I feel like Rugby Challenge could do a lot better, and they haven't, if that makes sense. We get to see footage on Rugby Challenge 4, but I do feel it will be very similar to Rugby Challenge 3, and I know a lot of you guys feel that as well. Another point as well is you don't get tactics like you have in Rugby 20, which we'll talk about. Rugby 20 has like tactics you have in game, so you can change like set pieces and stuff like that. Rugby Challenge 4, I think that Rugby Challenge are yet to do that in any of their games. Whether or not they'll have that in Rugby Challenge 4, I don't know. But as of right now, we know Rugby 20 has that and Rugby Challenge hasn't, compared to previous titles anyway. So that's another interesting topic to mention. Now, the one thing Rugby Challenge has over Rugby 20 is the graphics. As you can see here, you can see the individual blades of grass. You can see the detail paid into like the attention of, say, the players and stuff like that. And yeah, the overall atmosphere of the Rugby Challenge games has a lot more detail compared to Rugby 20. Again, we'll talk about Rugby 20 after talking about Rugby Challenge. But as of right now, yeah, the graphics are always going to be a better sort of feature compared to Rugby 20, because obviously Cider Games and who is it? True Blue Games, is it? Yeah, Side Games and True Blue Games have more money compared to Big Ben Studios and EKO Software. So that's why there's going to be a better graphics comparison compared to the two games. But it already depends on what you want in a rugby title. Obviously, the Rugby Challenge games offer more with the fan hub. So, for example, if a team isn't licensed in the game, you can download them on the fan hub if somebody's made them, and therefore then you can play as them. Whereas, as of right now, we don't know if Rugby Challenge has got that. Again, we'll talk about Rugby Challenge later on. Another thing I've always liked about the Rugby Challenge games is the commentary has always been a lot better. Obviously, they use the Southern Hemisphere commentary, but it is a lot better compared to the Northern Hemisphere commentary. Well, for the game anyway, because the recordings seem a bit better. They don't seem as scripted as the rugby games. So, for example, when the Rugby Challenge games, it's being like, and he's passed to North, like that. Whereas in the Rugby 20 and Rugby 18, it'd be like, he's passed to North, like that. Do you know what I mean? It's slightly off. It's not a massive big deal, but it is a bit of an annoying deal if you're a passionate gamer, especially into sports games. So one feature we do know about the Rugby Challenge games, I know Rugby 20 is going to have more licensing over Rugby Challenge. Again, we'll talk about the licensing for Rugby Challenge later on. But the feature for Rugby Challenge is the fan hub, so therefore, if there's any teams that you want to play as, it'll probably be in Rugby Challenge, which is a good thing. That's one of the things it has over Rugby 20. They have licensed stadiums as well. That's another big feature if you guys wanted licensed stadiums. So I know a lot of stadiums won't be in it though, like for example the Principality Stadium for Wales won't be in it, Aviva Stadium for Ireland won't be in it, because they're not licensed in this game, as of right now we know anyway, because Rugby 20 has the licensing, and whenever another game has licensing, the following game doesn't, for example in this situation between Rugby 20 and Rugby Challenge. I don't know, this screenshot here that you're seeing is, as I said, all the screenshots are from Rugby Challenge 3. I don't know if the English Premiership will be in this game, mainly because the English Premiership is in Rugby 20, so therefore it's not 100% in Rugby Challenge. I know England will probably be in Rugby Challenge, but I don't know with the whole English Premiership. I know Pro 14 probably won't be in this either. So yeah, the perks of having Rugby Challenge is, if you haven't got a team in the game licensed, you can download it. Stadiums are officially licensed in this game. They do offer more graphics and detail, but that's not always the best thing. And yeah, I know the commentary is a bit better and stuff like that. So those are the big perks of it. Super Rugby is obviously in it as well, and they obviously pay more attention to detail for the player details of the face and everything like that. So those are the big perks of having Rugby Challenge 4. Again, it's run on the same engine. The things I don't really like about it is it's run on the same engine, so every game kind of looks the same as each other. I'm not a big fan of, I don't know, it's just, there's something about the Rugby Challenge games, I feel like it's not as fast paced compared to, like, say, the Rugby World Cup games, like Rugby World Cup 2011. Like, I felt like Rugby Challenge was good, and it was something different, and they offer something different. And I probably will get both games, but I've always felt like, say, the Rugby World Cup 2011 games are faster paced compared to these. I feel like this is more like you're sort of getting to basics of rugby and stuff like that. It's just my opinion. Don't leave any hate. I know you guys like Rugby Challenge 4 and you like the Rugby Challenge games, and some of you hate Rugby 20 and stuff like that. It's just an opinion at the end of the day, and it's up to you what game you decide. So I will be discussing now what licensing Rugby Challenge 4 will most likely have compared to what Rugby 20 already has. So here is the licensing thing for Rugby Challenge 4. We know the All Blacks and Australia will definitely be in it, because they always have the Southern Hemisphere teams, and we have already seen a picture in the background of the Rugby Challenge 4 showing the All Blacks and Australia. South Africa will most likely be in this because they've been in all previous Rugby Challenge games, and Rugby 20 don't have the license for South Africa. Argentina, I have a feeling Argentina will be in this, mainly because, again, Rugby 20 has most licensing for a lot of teams, so I have a feeling Argentina will be in it. England isn't in Rugby 20, so they most likely will be with Rugby Challenge 4, just like we had in Rugby Challenge 3. Super Rugby is obviously going to be in it because we know Rugby 20 hasn't got Super Rugby, therefore, and obviously Rugby Challenge have always had Super Rugby in their games, so that's why we know that's going to be there. As for the English Premiership, I don't know 100% if that will be in Rugby Challenge, mainly because, again, Rugby 20 has the licensing for it, so whether there's been a sort of split deal where Rugby Challenge comes out at the end of this year, and obviously the end of this year maybe licensing it up again, and that's how Rugby 20 have got it, I don't know, but those are all there probably are in the game besides English Premiership, I don't know. So next up we'll talk about Rugby 20. So as you can see here, this is a screenshot of Rugby 20. The graphic comparison compared to Rugby Challenge is always going to be slightly lower because it's a smaller studio. But one of the big perks about Rugby 20 is its tactics. Now obviously it's completely changed compared to Rugby 18, it's not the same game. And it's had a massive overhaul compared to the previous title. So yeah, you do have now have tactics in Rugby 20, so you will get to select what you want to do in game. It slows the game down, as in like it'll go to slow motion until you select your tactics, which is quite a cool function. It's still got into beta at the moment, so it's going to be 2 or 3 more betas before the game actually comes out. So that's kind of showing me that the game developers kind of want to change what is going on. They want to make the best rugby game they possibly can, and they are listening to fans' advice. That's one of the things I've always liked about these developers. They want to pay attention to what people are saying, and they want to try and improve their game. So that's why I made an improvement video earlier this week. So that's a nice, interesting detail that they've done. So then, as well, obviously they haven't got stadium licensing like Rugby Challenge have, but the gameplay and the controls are a lot more fast-paced compared to the Rugby Challenge games. So it already depends whether you want detail or you want a fast-paced rugby game. Because I know when it comes to kicking for this, you have 3 seconds to decide where you want to place the ball, and then you have to kick it. Whereas the Rugby Challenge games, I'm pretty sure you have quite a while to take your time to kick the ball. As well as I know when it comes to the line out, you have like 3 seconds to throw the ball in, otherwise it's a penalty. So that's quite cool, like how it's all pretty quick. Another thing then they've paid attention to with this game coming out is the turf. I think Rugby Challenge has already done this anyway, but I know the turf gets ripped up and they paid attention to detail with mud and stuff like that, which is nice. There's a lot more licensing in this game, but they don't offer the fan hub, I don't believe. I have a strong feeling, like my personal feeling, that card management will be to edit teams and create teams. I know we have a create a team function in this game, so you may be able to create your own Super Rugby, and you may be able to create national teams as well yourself. And I know you do get to edit player names, so that is quite a cool function as well. So it's kind of like the fan hub of Rugby Challenge, but slightly different because obviously you'll get to make them yourself rather than having to download them. So that's quite a cool function. So yeah, I mean, I talk about licensing at the end of talking about the features of Rugby 20. But as you can see here, another thing they've paid attention to is the international teams. They have a lot more international teams compared to Rugby Challenge 4. I think there's like at least over 10 licensed international teams compared to Rugby Challenge's 5. So that's quite a cool function as well. If you want your licensing for countries and stuff, obviously Rugby 20 most likely will have your licensing. One thing in Rugby 20 though, there isn't any licensed stadiums, so if you are after scenic and stuff like that, then obviously Rugby Challenge will be your best bet because licensing is more for the Rugby Challenge games for stadiums. But for Rugby 20, the attention to detail, which I do like, is it builds up atmosphere. So for example, when you pick your stadium, say if you're playing in the Olympic Stadium like this one here, the opening bit of it shows an outside camera of the stadium, which I really love. So it'll show like an overview of the pitch and stuff like that, and then it also shows the players walking out of the tunnel as well to build up atmosphere, which I really love. One thing I would like to see though, because I know the Rugby Challenge games do have it, is anthems. It would be nice to have anthems in Rugby 20. It might not be added, but it would be quite nice to see. Some of the bad things about Rugby 20 then, as of right now with it being in the beta, is the commentary is slightly off. The kits aren't up to date, but they probably will be when it comes out in February next year. Another thing as well, a lot of people are saying is like it's glitching out with certain things, but it's only a beta at the moment. That's literally all we get. So again, that will probably be improved. The crowd noises are also going to be improved as well. I did mention that to the developers, and they said they will try and work on that. So yeah, I mean, again, it already depends on what you want. Rugby Challenge is going to be more detailed and more licensing for the stadiums and stuff like that, and it has the fan hub, and it's slightly rugged play, whereas Rugby 20 have gone for a fast-paced game with tactics, not as good graphics, but with more licensings. And this is the licensing here, as you can see. Rugby 20 has the licensing for Wales, Scotland, Ireland, France, Italy, Canada, Georgia, Namibia, Samoa, Tonga, USA, the English Premiership, the 2 divisions of the French League, as well as Pro 14. And I know they have unofficial tournaments as well, like the unofficial Rugby World Cup, unofficial Six Nations, unofficial Rugby Championship, as well as, well, it hasn't been confirmed, but whenever you do mention it to the developers, they are very strongly interested in the idea of an unofficial Super Rugby. And like I said, going back to being able to edit player names and stuff like that, it could work out pretty well. And as of right now, I have a feeling card management might be to edit teams. It's not 100%, but I have a feeling it might be, because in the like the menu section it shows like blank logos, and usually that means that you can edit logos yourself. Again, it's not 100% confirmed, so don't go by me for that. But it's a possibility. My voice is slowly going because I've literally talked non-stop throughout this video, as you could probably tell. But yeah, it's been quite an interesting debate. So I think I'll leave it there for you guys. Let me know in the comment section what game you're going to go for. Have I convinced you for what game? Let me know in the comment section. Please make sure you go ahead and leave a like for this video as well to show your support. I've done my research for this one as well, So please leave a like to show your support for the research and stuff I've done. Like I said, comment, let me know. What game are you going to go for? Are you going to go for both? What are the 2 things that you like about each game? Let me know in the comment section. If you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos every single week, guaranteed, as well as covering all Rugby 20 stuff and Rugby Challenge stuff. And if you don't like rugby games, then we also do other rugby things as well. So yeah, click the notification button to be notified when I upload, because I upload on random days sometimes. And as well, follow me on social media if you want to stay up to date with Rugby 20 news, especially my Twitter page, because I cover a lot of that over there. And then my Instagram accounts are more for the just general rugby stuff, as well as my personal account. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, click the notification button, follow me on social media. I've been Andrew. I will see you in another upload. Peace out, guys.